I describe to you the long story short, because sometimes 5 minutes of truth can outlast a lifetime of noise. Everyone knows Steve Jobs, the iPhone guy, the black turtleneck, the Apple keynote legend. But what most people never hear is the before. Before Apple, before money, before fame. The version of Steve Jobs who was so broke he returned Coke bottles to buy food, who slept on floors, who walked 7 miles for one decent meal a week. This is not a tech story. It's a human story. And if you're struggling right now, this story might just save you. When Jobs was 17, he went to college. But just after one semester, he dropped out, not because he had a startup in mind, but because he saw no value in spending his parents' life savings on something that didn't feel meaningful. He didn't drop out of learning. He dropped into life. He stayed on campus without officially being enrolled. He slept on the floor in friends' rooms. He collected 5-cent Coke bottles just to eat. He made a weekly 7-mile pilgrimage across town just to get one warm meal at the Hare Krishna temple. That's not a billionaire origin story. That's survival. But here's the miracle. He never saw himself as a victim. He didn't complain. He followed what fascinated him. In his own words, I had no idea how it would all connect. But looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. When you have nothing to lose, you're free to trust your curiosity. And sometimes, that's more valuable than any degree. One of the classes he sat in on was calligraphy. Beautiful serif and sans serif fonts. Kerning, spacing, artistic elegance. Completely useless, right? Until 10 years later, when Jobs used that exact knowledge to design the typography for the Macintosh. It was the first computer with beautiful fonts, because he followed a thread of curiosity when nobody was watching. That's the first big lesson. You can't connect the dots looking forward, only backward. But if you trust that your steps mean something, if you live by instinct and stay open to learning, the dots will connect. You don't need to understand your path right now. You just need to keep moving. Confusion is not failure. It's formation. Now, fast forward to age 30. Steve Jobs is the head of Apple, a company he started in his parents' garage. It's booming. He's famous, rich, respected. Then he gets fired. His own board of directors pushed him out. Imagine that, building your dream from scratch, only to be kicked out by your own creation. He said, what had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone. It was devastating. But in the wreckage, he rediscovered something powerful. Love. Love for the work, for creating, for trying. Over the next few years, he started Next. He helped launch Pixar. Toy Story was born. His creativity exploded, and in that time, he met his wife and built the family that mattered most. Later, Apple bought Next and brought him back. The punchline? Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Sometimes what looks like a betrayal is a redirection. Sometimes life throws you off course just to get you on track. In 2003, Steve Jobs got news that changed everything. He had pancreatic cancer. At first, doctors said he had only months to live. The clock started ticking. Imagine hearing that. Imagine looking in the mirror and realizing you're running out of time. And yet, Jobs said that knowing death was close gave him something priceless: clarity. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make big choices in life. Death has a way of cutting through the noise, the fear of embarrassment, the pressure to please. The trap of living someone else's life. Jobs said, don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Every moment you spend waiting for approval, every day you waste doing what others expect, that's a day lost forever. Death is not the enemy. Wasting your life is. Near the end of his Stanford speech, Jobs quoted a farewell message from the Whole Earth catalog, a counterculture magazine he loved. 4 simple words: stay hungry, stay foolish. Stay hungry, never be satisfied. Don't settle into comfort. Stay foolish. Don't be afraid to look naive. Take the risks others avoid. Because the people who change the world are rarely the smartest in the room. But they're almost always the ones who care enough to try, risk enough to fail, and stay brave enough to continue. Steve Jobs started broke, got kicked out, faced death, and yet he changed the world, not because he was lucky, but because he refused to stop trusting his voice. So maybe you're lost. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you're sleeping on floors, walking miles, collecting scraps of hope. That doesn't mean your story's over. That just means you're in your first chapter. What you do next, that's what makes you Steve. If this reached you, subscribe to Runner Up. Because we don't chase motivation. We build it, brick by brick. Your time is limited, so live like it matters.